Welcome to the NNN show. I'm your host, Chris Tysis, and we're here to talk about something different. We're talking about obviously the king of pop, Michael Jackson, who I'm a big fan of. I'll be honest. Obviously, some people know that, some people don't. And it's been 10 years since he passed away, and um, I guess for Michael Jackson, there's always different responses to how people view him. His troubled childhood, his massive success with music, and and of course the allegations and that with especially the documentary Leaving Neverland. And I guess one of the things about being part of this sort of fan group, unlike Nintendo and other things like that, is you tend to do a lot of defending of him and a lot of researching, I guess, into his life and things like that. Um, because when people see Leaving Neverland, and it's a 4 hour sort of documentary, what a lot of people don't see is that it's a very one-sided documentary in terms of what is presented. And that's unfair on someone who has passed away, in general, I think. And the main person, Wade Robertson, um, has a history of, trying to be successful, but also trying to get money from the Jackson estate. So to just quickly go over it, because I don't really want to be talking about this part of his life or his post life, I suppose, is that in 2012, Wade Robertson had a career meltdown. He was trying to chase success, and he was winding down. And his main work was being a dancer and doing dance choreographies. Doing dance routines for big stars like NSYNC and Britney Spears and all that sort of thing. And when that era of pop music was dying down, he wasn't really in need for work anymore. Um, so what do you do when you're running out of money and you're trying to chase success? Well, you publish a book of allegations against Jackson, which was very contradictory. There was a lot of things in it that didn't make a lot of sense. He tried to do a $1.5 billion lawsuit, which didn't make a lot of sense, and it's far too much money for really any sort of lawsuit of that kind of, um, child abuse or anything like that. It's a huge amount. It would be something like a class action, but this is for one person. And there's been a lot of dismissed litigations that he's tried to do because he's in court lying, and testimonies that he's presented that really didn't make a lot of sense in terms of he would say one story, but he would change it over time. And then after those things didn't work out, he decided to do this documentary, Leaving Neverland, which unfortunately, actually, even in the documentary, there's been a few things that's been proven false, or times and events that did not happen, and things like that. So, but there are obviously better videos online that explains about this sort of stuff, and the fan base. I'm sure that if they do come to the comment section, they will have a bit of a chat more about it. But apart from all that sort of stuff, and the issues that Jackson have had with his childhood and things like that, I was very sad when he passed away. I was a bit devastated. I think many people were 10 years ago when he left, and he was bigger than Beatles, Elvis. He's really in that sort of that category. And obviously, I got some of his albums. Probably still my favorite, apart from it, is probably Invincible, which is a great little album. Jackson, I think, originally wanted Unbreakable to be the first video clip, but they put out You Rock My World, which is a great song. And after a couple singles, apparently Sony pulled the plug on the promotion of it because uh, apparently all of the funding money or the promotional money was 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 used up, which I think was pretty bullshit. Because Jackson came out saying that, well, the Sony Music CEO was a racist and things like that, and there was a lot of contract issues in that, and he wanted to break away from the contract, and that's sort of related to him having, well, back many moons ago, he had 50% publishing deals. So he owned the Beatles catalog. So he was earning a lot of royalties out of that. And I think Sony wanted the other half, and they were, making life hard for Jackson out of that. So that was a good album. And of course, if you wanted just to get, to know about his music, the six people who don't know about him, History is obviously a pretty good album. It's also a very personal album of him too. Lyrically, I think it's probably him at his strongest, I believe. But yeah, I can't believe it's been 10 years. It's time flies, and I wasn't living in the previous unit that I was in. I was living in the one before it, which was even worse. A very small one-bedroom unit that was about 50 years old. And it was, yeah, I went down the local supermarket, and I saw it on the news. They had this TV thing about, Jackson was rushed off to the hospital when he was basically given a medication that should have been delivered in a hospital, which apparently he was getting delivered on his bedside, which is a huge no-no, and the doctor got charged for that, and there was a whole big thing about that. And yeah, it was very sad because he was going to do the "This Is It" concert, and he was looking forward to doing that. And I know that it's I know some people were saying, well, he didn't look very healthy. Could he go through with the concert back then? And I don't know. I mean, he could have not. But, doing what was probably about 50 shows would have been pretty hard for someone who was 50 years old and who had been performing and dancing for 45 years. I think in the autopsy, um, they they saw, pretty good, signs of arthritis. He had arthritis and things like that, and scarring on his head from the Pepsi. I think the time when he got the top of his head severely burnt, and then he got addicted to painkillers due to the pain that he got from that. So he's had a pretty amazing life in terms of he really hit some incredible highs, but some really low lows too. About that. And I think that he was an eccentric person who missed out on a childhood and wanted to recreate that through, his Neverland Ranch. And I know that some people might go, it's a little bit over the top, it's a little bit weird, but that was his way of doing things, and I don't think he really caused anyone any harm by doing that. And I think people didn't like him because he was different from other people. He was a bit eccentric, he was a bit weird, he was very childlike, and that's because he did lose his childhood, obviously. So it's an interesting, fascinating story of Michael Jackson. And after 10 years, wow, it's a long time. And he would have been about 60, the same age as Madonna. And who knows what he would think of the world of music today. I don't think pop music is as good as it used to be. I think it's become a lot more auto-tune, a lot more generic. There's still good music out there, but it doesn't quite feel the same. I don't think the quality's there anymore in terms of especially the lyric writing and the music and the beat and things like that. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what will happen for the world of music and pop music. But I thought I would do a little video just acknowledging it's been 10 years, which is a long time since his passing. But yeah, it was a huge thing about it. But hang on, I do have something to show you. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. I can't believe I actually forgot this, but I actually kept the newspapers of when he passed away. And I thought, this is a pretty big event in history. I know there's been other really big events. Maybe I should have kept something from 9/11, but I was too young. But yeah, I forgot this. And this would have been um, June the 27th, 2009. So this was on the Saturday because Australia got the news of this on the 26th in the morning because America is a day behind. So that makes sense because we got the news of his passing around the morning, time, and then Saturday would have rolled out the newspapers about his death. And then you've got the Herald Sun, which would have been, yes, June the 27th. So really, really, yeah, I completely forgot about that. And yes, which is terrible news, really. Obviously, a lot of upset fans, and ET's bloody, you know, stuff like that. But yeah, it's just surprising that I still kept them. I could have thrown them away, but I thought, I'll just keep onto them, see what it's like, blah blah blah. But yeah, it's very sad. But I don't know. I don't know if anything else would come close to this in music. Um, probably, probably Paul McCartney, Elton John, Madonna. Those are probably the names that spring to mind in terms of what would be a huge music death. Um, that would be as big as that. Those are the only names that I could think of. The remaining Beatles, Madonna, probably Elton John, maybe Ozzy Osbourne. I don't know. One of the Rolling Stones. That sort of thing. So it's really, really interesting, and I forgot I actually had them. I was just thinking about it during the video, but that's the way it is. So, but yes, but yeah, and check out his music, and that do buy Invincible because Sony never promoted it. It's a great album, but that's all I've got to say. Leave us your thoughts about Michael Jackson, and the last thing too. He did have a video game. He had Moonwalker, so I guess that's the video game relation to that. But Moonwalker was a pretty cool game for its time. Um, but yeah, be interesting. Let us know about his career and what you think, and also the Moonwalker game too. It's a pretty cool game for its time and pretty different. Because I didn't mind it myself. So that's it for me. I'll see you next time.